Here's the harsh truth nobody wants to admit. Waiting until you're established is probably why you're still single even at 35, and it's destroying your chances of the family that you actually want. Modern culture has sold you a lie about marriage timing that goes against all years of human history. Hey beautiful, my name is Jumoke Win and I'm one half of Win at Love, and if you've been waiting to get your life together before pursuing marriage, then this video is going to show you exactly why that strategy is backfiring. But before we continue, make sure that you do like, subscribe, and you hit that bell so that you can continue to get more great content, because by the end you'll understand how this capstone mentality is sabotaging you and your future and what to do instead. So first we have to understand that for most of human history, marriage was more like a cornerstone, right? It was the starting point for building your life. So you got married young, in your peak fertility years, you started building together, and that's it. But thanks to a lot of multiple factors, we have now flipped this completely. Now marriage is treated more as a capstone. This is like the final achievement, the boss level after you've established yourself independently. And the message becomes, get your education first, build your career first, buy your house first, travel first, establish yourself first, and then maybe consider marriage. And this shift started happening, I would say maybe like in the 60s and 70s, at least for the US, because that was like for the first time in history, women were actually encouraged to delay marriage until their late 20s, 30s, even 40s, right? So before this, it was very commonplace that you got married for some cultures in your teens, in your late teens, or in your early 20s, right, as a woman. But now women, they're going back to school, different economic factors that push women into the workforce, feminism, just so many different things. Now people are treating marriage, and honestly, there's even so much more. Like even now that we have social media, we have a certain type of lifestyle that's constantly pushed, more capitalism, because back then you had a small little wedding ceremony, okay, maybe in a church, in someone's backyard, and that was that. But now even a wedding is expected to fulfill this grandeur, right? It's expected to fulfill this very high status that most people cannot afford. So now people who can't even afford that lifestyle, they don't come from that class, they're even delaying marriage as well. So social media has also compounded that, like how we're thinking about marriage. But here's what they don't tell you. This contradicts how humans are actually designed to function. So let's really talk about this waiting until established, what's actually costing you. Your peak fertility is in your early 20s and starts to decline significantly after 35. Now, are women having babies in their 40s? Sure, but it's definitely not the norm. It's probably like 4% of all human births in the US, at least. Like it's only 4%. Most people, they have kids without any issues in their 20s, maybe their early 30s. And then from there, women start to undergo expensive fertility treatment, higher miscarriage rates, and it becomes more difficult to conceive naturally. Meanwhile, your dating pool, it's also shrinking dramatically, because if you're a woman who's, let's say, in her mid to late 30s, and the quality of men that you want who are marriage minded and also ready to settle down, they usually prefer and they're seeking to marry a younger woman who is closer to her peak fertility years, right? So by 35, you're competing with 25-year-olds who have a higher fertility, they have fewer baggage. A lot of women, by the time that they're 35, they have kids, sometimes kids out of wedlock, sometimes they're already divorced, sometimes even when it comes to past promiscuity comes into the mix. And also, people don't talk about this, but your femininity has taken a shot because you spent maybe most of your peak formative years in a corporate masculine energy. Perhaps your job requires you to be on to be more in your masculine. So then when you come together with a man, it's probably a little bit more challenging to tone that down so that you can partner with a man better. And to be very frank with you, I don't really think that the church has been helping much either. In the United States, only 27% of Black women in America are married. And mainline churches are 66% female, because a lot of men have left these feminized environments. And also there's different factors in why men are not in the church. But one of the biggest ones is that churches have not really catered to men, at least really in the past few decades. So here's a better way that we should view marriage. Let's think about marriage as partnership to build something bigger than ourselves, right? It's two people starting with less, but they can create more, right? The Bible even says in Ecclesiastes that two are better than one. It wasn't explicitly talking about marriage, but obviously it's very applicable. So this idea of you want to wait until you're established and you're combining two people who have already completed lives, it's more challenging, right? It can create more competition, more friction than cooperation. Because if you got a woman who's already built her career, she has her social circle, she has her routine, she has her identity. Some women, they already have a house, they have a car, they have everything that they need. It's really difficult to date because you are subconsciously expecting a man to fit your already established life. And not many men want to sign up to, just be a woman's sidekick and just to be recruited, right? Most men are looking for help and they're looking for support. They're looking for a helpmeet, not necessarily to be a helpmeet to a woman who's already established. So that can be an issue that you run into when it comes to dating, right? Because we have to remember that biblical marriage is about help and procreation first and marriage second. And the foundation should be a shared vision and values, not simply just individual achievements. It's great that you have built all that stuff by yourself, but we have to remember that there has to be some type of shared vision and value and goals within a family structure. Okay, so you can do all that stuff together. All right. Now, we coach women in their 20s, their 30s, their 40s, and we definitely help them through to course correct, right? To course correct so that they can really settle their home. And if you realize that you've been following the wrong script, it's not too late, but you do probably need to redirect your energy, okay? So I want you to stop requiring yourself or stop putting this pressure on yourself to be established before you feel ready for marriage. You want to also incorporate preparing for partnership and not just achievement. So again, it's good. I'm not saying don't go to school. I'm not saying don't achieve and don't be a responsible adult, but ultimately you still have to put in your mind that you're coming together with a man. Okay, so this means things like developing feminine qualities, learning to receive from men, practicing submission, and becoming wife material instead of this alpha boss babe type of energy. Okay, so let's recap what we've learned is that marriage is the cornerstone to build from, not just a capstone that when you're done with everything that you've been doing, now I'm going to achieve marriage. And establish often is very conflated, right? You don't have to be established to marry and to marry well. You just have to have a vision and know the direction of where you're going. Okay, so I want you ladies to stop waiting to be ready and start preparing to be chosen. And if you realize that you need to change your approach, our Single to Wifey Bootcamp, it helps women to make this mindset shift. My husband and I, we guide women from single to wifey with faith and strategy. So I want you to go click the link in the description box if you're ready to break free from the cultural lies and embrace biblical truth. And that's all for this video. See you guys in the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye.